Hey gods and goddesses, let's talk astrocartography. Astrocartography is your birth chart mapped across the earth realm. What if your dream life isn't where you're born, but somewhere else entirely? Each planet rises and sets in different places, activating a new version of you. In this video, I'm going to be diving in deep to how you can find the best places for love, success, alignment, healing, using your personal cosmic map. I'm going to be going over examples, so go ahead and grab your birth chart and let's get started and let's find out where your soul truly comes alive. So first things first, let's go to astro-seek.com. I found that this is my best website, or the best website that you get the most accurate results and it makes the most sense. Let's go over some key symbols that we're going to be seeing repeatedly, or we're going to be using repeatedly. That is the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Now let's go over the four major astrocartography lines. The Ascendant line, this is a self line. This is where a planet rises with you. You have natal planets, or if you have natal planets within the first house, of course, these planets are very significant in your life. It changes how you show up and how you are perceived. The first house is the house of self, and also any planets here shows how you express your core identity or your core self, because it's what you are evolving into. Living on this line can shift your body, it can shift your mind, it can shift your whole brain structure, your whole outlook on life. But this is the house of the body. It can shift your energy. It can shift your personal aura, your frequency. You begin to embody the planet's power, and sometimes before you even know that you are. So, first house planets play a key part in your evolution, and this line transforms your inner presence and rewires your sense of self. Very, very, very crucial for development. Now moving to the descendant line, this is your mirror line. This is the line that where any planets sit on here, this is where you're shining through other people. You're meeting other people. This is the line that brings the most intense partnerships. This is the line that brings connections, lessons, and contracts. People you meet on this line reflect the very parts of yourself you're still trying to understand. And also, this line, it doesn't really just bring love, because the descendant line can bring, love, partnership, relationships, but it brings truth through others. It truly mirrors yourself back to you, depending on the sign, if it's debilitated or if it's dignified, meaning if it's weak or if it's strong. This line definitely exposes your patterns, your projections and your soul agreements that you came in this earth, or in this earth realm to fulfill. Moving to the midheaven line, your destiny line. This is the highest point within your chart, right? Wherever these planets sit, this is your public path. This is your life direction. This is where you're headed. The midheaven line governs your career, your reputation, leadership, what you're known for. Living on your midheaven line can amplify your need to be seen, where you're going to rise, where you define your purpose in front of the world. It is not just about ambition. This is about the legacy you're going to leave behind. This is the line where you are tested, for your alignment and your calling, and it demands you to be visible. Last major line, but definitely most important, the IC line. This is your root line. This is like your soul's basement, right? It's the basement of your spirit. And this is your deep inner core of who you are alone, how you grew up, your traumas, your subconscious programmings, these programmings that it's very hard to let go of. This influences your home, your family, your lineage, your legacy, your ancestry. your emotional safety. Living here can feel like returning back to the womb. It can feel like digging up these buried truths, or these buried versions of yourself. You're called, when you're living on your IC line, you're really called to look inward. You're called to sit with what's uncomfortable. You're called to sit with what has shaped you throughout life, and also what you need to release. It's like remembering you need to release certain things about yourself and about the things that you have been through. This line really does reconnect you to what's hidden beyond the surface, and also what's sacred inside of your spirit, inside of your soul, maybe that you've forgotten. Okay, I want to do an example, and I'm going to use my phone, so don't judge me. I'm going to use the same information I just made up in my head. May 3rd, 82, Minnesota. I don't even know where that came from. Minneapolis, and 9 a.m., 9:14 a.m. And let's check out this astrocartography chart. So this is how it looks, right? See, I'm showing you the descendant lines. I'm showing you where you can look at the natal information. You can look at the different symbols. And I'm going to click on a symbol. I'm going to click on the Venus line and see which Venus on the ascendant would I live on the Venus on the ascendant. Okay, so Venus is opposite. Venus is in Pisces, and it is opposite. It's right on the line. I'm going to go to the birth chart so I can see how it can correlate to the birth chart and see what I live on my Venus line. So I'm going to put in the same information, the 3rd of May, 1982, and 9:14 a.m. in Minnesota. It's best to bring up the natal chart and the astrocartography chart. Since I'm using my phone, I have to go back and forth. Okay, so you see Venus is in Pisces up on the MC. Let's see where Neptune is. So Neptune is in the 6th house, and Neptune is in Sagittarius. They both have the same ruler if we're talking traditional. So this wouldn't be the best place to live, but it wouldn't be that, awful. But just because it's squaring Neptune too, that looks like a couple of problems. It looks like much more deceit than, just flourishing. So let's look at something else. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this person's Pluto line, their descendant line, and the one that goes right across St. Paul, which is the capital of Minnesota. Let me look at this chart, and wow, so Pluto is directly on the descendant line, so this person lives on their descendant line. So this wouldn't be the best place for them to live either. A lot of clashes, power clashes. And so now I'm going to look at the chart again, and I'm going to show you right here how do you actually get to astrocartography. There you can put in your birth information, but you just go to the website, go all the way down to astrocartography, click the astro map. Then you can put in your information right there. And then you also see the relocation chart too, where you can put in the relocation that you like to go to. So I relooked at the map, and I saw that I might move, if I was this person, I might move to Cleveland, Ohio, because that is where their Venus line is, their Venus MC. And remember, their birth chart had Venus in the 10th house already, right? So I would look at, I'm going to put in this information again, and then I'm going to look at an actual place, which is going to be Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm putting in Minnesota again, Cleveland. Okay, I spelled it right. Good job, Cody. And then you press that. And then we're going to go all the way down, and we see that Venus is still in the 10th house, right? But it's at 28th degree, And it's still in Pisces, so which means it's still doing good, but you see it's opposite Mars. There can be a couple of power clashes when it comes to what's going on at home, and you see that their north node is actually on their ascendant. So this means that this person is very, very driven to take care of their family, you know. And I'm putting also in the chart and the relocation, you could look at that if you're an expert, hey, like me. But now I'm putting in a different location that I saw that actually might work much better, which would be Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, because this is directly on their Venus line on their MC, which is pretty good, actually. We'll see in a couple. Okay, Pennsylvania, and you click calculate chart. And as you can see, Venus is directly on it, but it's still opposite Mars. But in this sense, Venus is ruling over the 11th house and also ruling over the 4th house. So once this person learns to value and let go of like their ancestral teachings and backgrounds, they will really thrive on their career. You know, will be a great place for them to live, actually. And I would love for this person to live it. I put the birth chart as well, just to see how it all, goes together. As you can see, there's hard aspects, but there's also, pretty good aspects as well. And now I'm going back because I want to go back to the chart and put in the same information, because I wanted to show you where I got Philadelphia from, because it's directly over their Venus MC line, which is pretty great. Remember, there's always pros and cons to where we live, but if Venus is in your 10th house, the way that it's showing here, and being in Pennsylvania means that they will thrive as soon as they let go of their, basically their trauma. Even when it comes to anger, letting go of anger, they will really thrive in this new place. As you can see, you see Philadelphia right there. So this would be a great place for them to live, right? That's it. Yeah, that's how I would read a chart and its lines. I would definitely look for Venus if I'm looking to move somewhere, if I'm looking to thrive somewhere and attract something. Venus, Jupiter, even Mercury can be good too. I'm going to go over that at the end of the video. But anyways, let's go over the different astrological or the different astrocartography lines and what they mean and how they activate you and why they are key to unlocking the different versions of your soul. So we have the sun line here, and the sun is our ego. It is our vitality. It is our purpose, right? It is our recognition. It is our drive in some sense. It is really the essence of our soul, our expression. We need the sun in order to survive. And let's say you have the sun in the ascendant, you will feel alive and bold here, magnetic, even confident. Everyone can see you when you have the sun, over the ascendant sign. And it's like you become more of who you are. And this is perfect for like personal, like reinvention, even some ego deaths you will experience here, unlocking different versions of yourself, rebuilding a public identity in some type of way. If you have the sun over your descendant line, this can be you attracting people that reflect your light back to you, or affect your brightest self, as I would say, back to you, or your soul's brightness in some type of way. There can be even ego wounds that they reflect back to you. And when it's over, your sun is over your descendant line, or even in the 7th house, this can be relationships that are front and center. They take a lot out of you. They may even take your light from you if you're not careful. This is great for marriages. It's great for being seen by others, partnerships, but without the ego. There will, like I said, be ego clashes and ego deaths. And then we have the sun over the MC line. And The sun on the MC, that's pretty grand, right? This is a spotlight on your career. This is legacy building. Remember, you have to keep in mind the sign as well. Like I said, if it's dignified, hell yeah. If it's in Leo, this is exactly where you want to be, right? And let's say if it's in your you know, your natal, let's say your natal position has the sun in Aries, which is another fire sign. This is would be great. Or if it's, you know, debilitated and it's kind of weak, you know, you can still work with it depending on what the sun is in. But you know, having the sun in its natal, having the sun in its natural sign of Leo is always what you want to look for, or something that's really strong. This is where your career building, you are making moves, you know what I'm saying? You are doing entrepreneurship if you need to. This is artists, this is speakers. You're really sharing that light that you have. You're being recognized in some type of way. If you're ready to shine, it's going to shine. Sometimes it can burn a little bit as well if you're not careful. And having the sun on the IC line, this one is a bit tricky in my opinion, but also it can feel as like your home, or like, you know, your immediate environment really is starting to reflect your soul. And like I said, if you're burning so much, you have so much ego, those type of things can really take you into a down pit or a downfall, because you know this house is the house of your lineage, and you start to see things that have happened in different lifetimes. You start to jog up memories, you know, that make you question your self-expression, question your behavior. You know, it's really time to heal the inner child. The sun is on your IC line, and you know, that can be a great place to live as well, especially if you want to dive deep into who you are, like where you come from, and you know, things of that nature. And it's really good for healing, you know, your confidence behind, you know, who you are. It's really good for grounding as well. So moving to the moon line. So the moon is your emotion, your safety. This is your instincts. This can represent the mother and even the childhood in some type of way. Okay, so the moon on the ascendant, this is where you wear your heart on your sleeve. You know, emotional of it. You're very emotionally attuned with what's going on. You know, even emotionally available to those that need you. You know, you're just like your emotional body just increases and kind of just takes over you. You know, people either love you or they find your emotions to be like overbearing, you know, in some type of way. This is really excellent for like spiritual healing, you know, having the capacity to hold compassion and love for the next person, and a lot of understanding. The moon and the descendant, this is you are attracting, or you can be like the nurturing type when it comes to, you know, partnerships, or even a bit needy, or you attracting those that are needy, and they need your emotional body constantly. And you know, these connections can be deeply emotionally deeply emotional. They can bring up like mother wounds. They could bring up like bonds that have to do with like the father, you know, or things of that nature. And like it just shows up in other people that you meet, you know. It's just these deep emotional bonds with the next person, or reflections. And yeah, and then the moon on the ascendant, you become known, you know. Not the moon on the ascendant, the moon on the MC, you become known for like your nurturing abilities, your psychic abilities, you know, your sensual abilities. And this is very healing to other people. You have this mothering, you know, like aura about you that other people can see and they like. And this is great for like careers that have to do with working with women, with healing, with children, you know, caring, creativity, even like arts, you know, poetry, and just deeply diving into things. Like your emotional exposure is like at an all-time high. And then the moon on the IC, I love this. I think that this is one of the best places to live if you are willing to, you know, seek truer inner comfort for your own emotional landscape, right? This is where you are, this is like sacred home energy, right? depending, of course, on your placements and things of that nature. But you will literally cry here and you'll not know why. You'll just be crying, but you'll be also doing like a lot of releasing, and it feels like you're just back inside of the wound, and you're comfortable. And this is really great for like being like a doula, or like working with babies and working with like emotions, and like people that have like deep emotions, or going into your ancestry that have to do with like the maternal world. And this is really great for resting as well, like your inner child healing. This can be great for. Alrighty, so here we have Mercury, the Mercury lines. Mercury is your mind, the trickster. It's your voice, the messenger. It is your learning, your communication, and living on your Mercury line. Godly, you're really smart. You're really a quick thinker. Let's just say Mercury on the Ascendant. This is a quick thinker. Of course, this is someone who is more talkative. They can be very curious, very witty. These people may find you, or other people may find you like mentally stimulating, or even they can find you like overwhelming, in that sense too. And this is great for like networking, starting school, if you want to start school, or teaching, or something like that, right? Or learning is most important with Mercury on the Ascendant. And Mercury on the Descendant, these are relationships and partnerships built on communication, mental chemistry, mental connection. You really have to be a communicator. You're attracting communicators. People want to talk to you, like talk you to death. And you may attract people who simulate your mind, or they can play mind games depending on the sign, right? And Mercury on the MC, this is great for being known for what you say, what you teach, what you write, what you speak. This can really thrive, right? It can really take you places. This is great for branding, like intellectually connecting with other people, or like just your intelligence is boosted, and other people can see this. Mercury on the IC is great for like journaling. It's great for writing things out. It's great for communicating with family, even studying maybe in solitude. This is great for healing your childhood wounds that have to do with speaking, that have to do with writing, just that has to do with having an open voice. There could be speech blocks if you're living on your Mercury on the IC. Even with your children as well, you can recall memories even more vividly, like they're like coming to your mind. Maybe they're coming to you in dreams, but it's something that has to be said. There's definitely more vivid mental like visualization going on. Venus, one of my favorites and one of everyone's favorites. Favorite line. So let's just say Venus is the attraction planet. It's beauty, it's monies, it's art. It's just like this magnet, like this magnetic field around you. This love, it's partnership, relationship, giving, receiving. When you have Venus on your ascendant, you are absolutely glowing. People are flirting with you, they stare. You are attracting a lot of things towards you, depending on the sign. People want to offer you things. You're very stylish, or you can start to style yourself even better. It's great for increasing your beauty, modeling even. When I say modeling, looking like a model. You can model even, depending on the sign, depending on your placements. Just with whatever your chart is, natally showing. You can get into like avenues of wealth and avenues of receiving love and abundance in different ways. And Venus on the Descendant, you attract these beautiful partnerships. I think that whenever Venus is further away from your descendant, meaning now it's opposite your ascendant. I'm sorry, when it's further away from your ascendant, And now it's opposite your it's opposite because it's on the descendant. This means like people are coming to you. I mean, you are going to other people. Let me say that right. You are going to other people. So Venus in the first house, a lot of people are coming to you. But Venus on the descendant, it's like you are going towards other people, right? You're making the choice to have relations with the next person. And you can attract these beautiful individuals as well. That's probably why you want to have partnerships with them. Even like these beautiful soulmates can come into your life, and they can feel sweet and very flowy, and like it's going good. And the danger with this too is falling for illusions or using charm, or they're using charms to like manipulate you just to get you, because you're also glowing as well, right? And Venus on the MC, this is great in my opinion. It's one of the most favorable placements, of course, depending on your placement. But Venus on the MC, this is talent. You are very talented and everyone can see it. You're very beautiful and everyone can see it. You can gain fame. You can gain authority in the world, different clients, you can have creative successes. There's this soft power that is amplified within you, that is more easier to attract the things that you want. Venus on the IC is your home feels luxurious. You can get it can feel very peaceful. You can decorate your home. You can feel very artistic in your home, like, or you want to make it into something grand, into something greater. You can really nest, you can decorate, you can want to add children to your home. You can fall in love with your space again. You know what I'm saying? You can really love like where you live. And this is really great for having children, like for fertility, and just building a more sacred like home. Mars. So Mars lines, this is action. Mars is our desire, our sexual like orientation. Mars can be drive, it can be conflict as well, arguments. And Mars on the ascendant is pretty good because Mars naturally rules the ascendant, depending on the sign, right? It can make someone very aggressive. It can make someone very assertive. It can make someone bold, just sexually appealing to a lot of people. Even, like their body can get in much better shape if they're living on their, Mars ascendant line. And, their body is just enhanced. Their brain is enhanced. This is excellent for like athletes. This is excellent for like, physical pursuits. But also be mindful because conflicts can arise pretty quickly. And then Mars on the descendant line, these are passionate, fiery partnerships that you are getting into. These are lovers or these are enemies, or they can be both. I hate you, but I love you, type of partnerships. And there can be a lot of hot, sexual, heavy energy, in the bedroom, or they can be power struggles. But like sex is probably the way that you are calling each other back, if that makes sense. So Mars on the MC, the career, the drive for your career is very aggressive. You are climbing ladders fast. You are breaking down bridges. You're breaking through walls, and you're going for it. You're being bold. You're being combative. You're being confident. You're really driving forward. You can create enemies, even, and people could be jealous of you in some type of way as well. And then Mars on the IC, this is a lot of tension at home, even fighting at home. I really always feel a bit bad for those who actually live on their Mars IC line, because this means that they grew up in a very abusive home. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you fight with your family more, and it feels very restless. It's very draining. It actually drains your physical energy and adds more stress onto your emotional body. But this is also great for breaking these generational curses if you use it. You use your drive to heal, your drive to start understanding a little bit more rather than taking physical action. These are breaking curses down, breaking walls that have, been built around you. This is really you building your own space or your own safe space. Jupiter line. So Jupiter is the expander, wisdom, teacher. It can be wealth and also blessings as well. So Jupiter on the ascendant, you can feel lucky, you can feel confident, you can feel abundant. People are drawn to your presence, your wisdom, even your aura. Like your life is opening up, new doors are breaking down, you're walking through new windows, you're just walking through new doors. Definitely watch for overdoing it though, because you can start to get a bit arrogant, right? And then we have Jupiter on the descendant line, and this means that partners expand your life in some way. These can be soulmates, these can be mentors, this can be gurus that really teach you something about life, and this can be someone who blows, like, not blows your life wide open, but really changes the way that you're perceiving your life. Through partnerships, they can change the way that you see through life. It can be for better or for worse. Of course, you have to check your sign, and it's always for better, but ultimately, people, when Jupiter's in the seventh house, they try to make us believe that they are the almighty powerful, and if it ever gets that way, it's not going down the right lane, because Jupiter is your wisdom that you are actually remembering. You are expanding your mind, which means that you are expanding. So it means you shouldn't worship the next person, right? And so Jupiter on the MC, this is career blessings. This is public recognition. This is really good for authority. This is good for success or gaining some type of authority. Only if you are ready to grow. With Jupiter up there, you have to be ready to grow, ready to expand, ready to take opportunities, even if they are, let's say, even if it requires work, because Jupiter likes to have things just coming to it, and like it doesn't have to work for it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of work for it. Don't be so overly confident, because it can lead to burnout. You know what I'm saying? Do the work and you will definitely expand with Jupiter on the on the MC. And moving to Jupiter on the IC, you can be increasing your family. This is like a blessed emotional body. You're feeling better, you're in a happier mood. This is healing like these major ancestral patterns, and you may feel emotionally full, depending on the sign. And this is perfect for building something within like your spiritual roots, or building with your children, or even teaching your children. This can be great for Saturn lines. Oh, Saturn lines. Oh my goodness. I was just living over my Saturn line and I moved. Thank Goddess, because living over your Saturn line, I've never been so rushed in my life, feeling like I was running out of time every corner that I turned. So many restrictions. It was just a no for me. But Saturn lines, this is where we are discipline. These are karmic lessons. Yes, they are. And this is structure. This is really prepping you for mastery. Saturn on the ascendant, you feel older, you feel more serious, you feel wise, but you feel more alone. Life is slower, and you're forced to grow up. This is amazing for like self-discipline, long-term building. It could be good for Saturn on the Descendant. These are karmic relationships. These are karmic contracts. Karmic contracts. These are marriages with age gaps. These can be lessons, really harsh ones, that have to do with love. It's like you'll meet your soul teachers, but you can also experience, hard heartbreak, detachment. And Saturn on the NC, this is great, right? Saturn rules the 10th. So Saturn on the 10th house or on the MC, is just boss shit. Like, it's definitely boss vibes, but it definitely takes time. It takes step by step processing. But, legacy over like speeding up, legacy over like running forward, taking step by step. It's like you will earn recognition, you will earn success when you are climbing slowly, slowly but surely wins the race here. And you may feel invisible. You feel invincible when you're, getting things done, but you might feel invisible when you are, like before you feel like you're respected behind what you're doing. You feel like no one can see you when Saturn is in the MC. Funny thing is, yes, they can, and so Saturn on the IC, this is these can be cold, distant, a distant home life, even when it has to do with parents as well. You can feel like you are cut off emotionally. You can feel like this is a place that is just always restructuring your life. It's a place where you have to do like this deep inner work, but it never stops. And it's just slow to process. Saturn on the IC can really bring up feeling left out, feeling left out of the family, left like in the dark by your mother and your family. Uranus is the planet of change. So the Uranus line is, there's a call for rebellion, intervention. There's extreme awakenings or sudden endings, sudden changes when Uranus is in the mix. And so Uranus on the ascendant, these are people that can, other people see you as unique, because you are unique. You could be odd, you could be a bit eccentric, you can be a bit, let's see, a bit moody, like your identity. When I say moody, meaning like you're not the same person that you were yesterday. It definitely shifts and changes over time. Even these constant shifts when it comes to like your personal appearance, you can really break down these like intellectual walls, just going into the lines of like genius, but other people are not ready for it. The Uranus on the Descendant line, this is unpredictable when it comes to unionship and relationships. You may change, lovers quickly and suddenly. This can be lovers that are like radical, they talk about freedom, or this can be like shocking breakups. Uranus on the MC, your career can seem kind of strange, even disruptive to other people. This is perfect for people who love like astrology, tech, just rebelling against the normal matrixy nonsense. And these are individuals who will not have a normal job if they live on the MC line. Uranus MC and Uranus IC. These are unstable emotions, really electrical charges to the emotional body that can feel very severe, very non-traditional. Even a non-traditional home life. These individuals can move frequently. They really need to be free or feel free at home, feel like they're in their space. This is definitely ideal for inventors or creators. So the Neptunian line. Neptune is the planet of dreams. It's the planet of spirituality, the subconscious mind or realms, the unseen, illusion even, but it has this deep sensitivity and creativity to it. And Neptune on the ascendant is someone who seems very ethereal, otherworldly, even. These are people who other people can like project onto you. They can show signs of needing healing constantly, or needing your touch or compassion or victim mentality, even. You can feel lost in your identity over when you have Neptune on the ascendant line. Of course, depending where you're living, And then Neptune on the descendant line, these can be idolized lovers. I actually met someone who has Neptune on the descendant line. I did their whole birth chart, and it was just, the way that they met their lover, it was just so magical, something that was just like unheard of, but it was so deceitful. Like the illusion was up, but they couldn't see it until, Neptune takes about 13 to 14 years. So it took them at least 20, to be able to see past this illusion. Because you can really idealize lovers, You can see, but they are soulmates. That's the thing. They bring these magical and beautiful experiences into your life, but they're not who they say they are. It's probably you. That's what they're saying that they are, right? These can be spiritual soulmates, but this can be confusing, when it comes to like heartbreak and things of that nature. And it's great for these like artists, like artful connections, or just dwelling in like the unseen with the next person, really exploring realms beyond the one that we live in. Neptune on the MC line. This is a This is an image that's projected onto the world as dreamy, mystic, artistic, always ready to heal the next person, This is the healer. They can lack direction even when it comes to like being clear on where they should go with their life. So Neptune on the IC line, their memories can be a bit foggy, It can be they can need to go to like a retreat center. I would say that Neptune on the IC, it's best to go to a retreat center to really jog up these ancestral memories, or, it's like when Neptune is over the MC, it's like you're needing to escape. You just have to protect yourself from like energy draining, if that makes sense, because you are deeply connected to your ancestry, and it can be very overpowering, if you're not deeply compassionate with yourself. And just depending on the sign too plays a huge part. Pluto lines. Whoa, Pluto. I mean, be ready for a ride of your life if you live on your Pluto line. If you're thinking about going over your Pluto line, this is extremely, you are dying and rising in raw, authentic power. And, you can either be feared or you can be in fear, if you're over your Pluto line. So Pluto is a planet of like power, right? It is a planet of our psychology, death, rebirth, shadow work. This is our soul's like deepest planet, the ones that we can't really see. These are seeing into the cracks of us. Pluto is seeing into the cracks of what we miss. Secrets and things of that nature. But Pluto on the Ascendant, this is a deep transformation through your identity, your point of evolution. These are major glow ups or major breakdowns, breaking that ego like identity that you have. You will not be the same if you're living over your Pluto Ascendant line. You are very magnetic, very intense. Even Pluto on the Descendant can bring these powerful people into your life, or they can seem very powerful, manipulative, too, obsessive, just doing things that are just wow, that you've never seen before, or you could be used to if this is a place you've been living, and these are the type of partnerships that you attract. These are deep sexual karmas as well, in this house. On the Descendant, Pluto on the Descendant. And then like it's just extremely life changing when it comes to meeting people, and the type of manipulation dynamic and tactics that they have is almost crazy. It's insane. Like that's what it is. It's not even crazy, it's insane that it takes you to die as an individual to really see past it. It can be so good that you can't see it, but then one day you see into it. It's very, very powerful. That is that it is. So Pluto on the MC, this is power overhaul. This person can be very, very powerful. When I mean by powerful, it's like they have risen in raw power, and people can see that. This is rise and fall again, rise and fall again. They are really trying to show you who they are. They become known for their drive, their power, or they can to be destroyed by it. If they're not willing to transform, if they aren't willing to rise and learn. And what I mean by learn is learn themselves, learn their own darkest corners of themselves in order to like liberate themselves. Pluto on the IC, so these are shadow roots, right? These, like, Pluto on the IC brings up things that are way beyond, feel like they're way beyond us, but they happen way before we arrived on Earth realm. This has to do with our lineage, their shadows coming to light, addictions, obsessions that they have, even sexual abuse, wow, it's pretty insane. Once you're breaking these curses, you realize how insane that actually was. These are generational as well, and your life will really be changed forever if you are living on the Pluto IC. And if, let's say, you're born with Pluto on your IC, you are someone who is just insanely how can I say this? It's like you're not insane, but you have went through so many different trials and tribulations that your power is so intense that people can fear you. Even your family can fear you. Like, people should fear you. If they don't love you, like, they should absolutely fear you. The places that you've been, the versions that you've known, is unheard of. It's unseen. And you know there it's very intense, and you can either rise with me, or the people that are around you, they can rise with you, or they will fall into the darkest corners of this realm. Truly intense. And then let's think about the North Node lines. So the North Node lines are where you are meant to grow. Like, don't just go living over your North Node line if you don't want to do anything, because the North Node is where your future self is born. You have to do something. You are stretched like this destiny marker, and you're writing, and you're being called out to these places to mature you, to rewire you. And you are pulled towards growth. You're pulled towards a higher calling. And you're a beginner. You're gonna feel like you're a beginner. You're gonna feel very raw, but you're gonna feel very alive too. And this really pushes you to release who you used to be, and all the old patterns, and to really claim who you're becoming. So the North Node on the Ascendant, you're really going to reinvent yourself. People are going to see you as your future self before you even see yourself. You are very magnetic, and the only way to really know if you're living on the North Node line is to see if the North Node, when you pull up your relocation chart, is to see if the North Node is in, or wherever you would like to live, it's in that house. So the Ascendant is the first house, right? Or it can be right on the Ascendant line. You have to check for yourself, right? And then North Node on the Descendant, these are fated partner relationships, soul contracts. You are meeting people who are pulling you towards your purpose, and that are challenging you to grow. North Node on the MC, you are being just pushed into your future self. Like that's what I say. You may feel like an imposter at first, but you have to push through. Your legacy is really coming to life. And North Node and the IC, these are this really feels kind of strange at first, because you feel like you're homesick and you don't know why, because this is where you're meant to heal your family line, by choosing new emotional blueprints. The South Node is where you are living in the energy of past lives. This is like your old comfort zone. This is unresolved trauma. It's really easy to live here because it's familiar. Well, it's not easy to live there, but it's like you stay too long. Like it's like you stay. If you stay long enough, you're going to start to literally like weather, if that makes sense, or wither, whatever that word is, where you just drift away, and it just, people start to feel like familiar. It starts to be like deja vu. You can either start repeating karma, or you can complete the karma. The choice is yours on this line, but like your old identity definitely lives here. You can feel stuck, you can feel unseen, you can feel like I've been here before. You feel like I've literally outgrown all of this. Why am I still here? Especially when the South Node is on your Ascendant line. And then when it's on your Descendant line, oh goodness, please don't come back into my life. These relationships feel very nostalgic, and they feel like they're draining, they're one sided. I've done this before. Watch out for trauma bonds disguised as being soulmates as well. And then when the South Node is on the MC line, this is where you're known, right? This is this is where you're known, but the South Node is like not where you're known by who you truly are now. You feel like your potential is like it's not shining as much as it could. Like you're just reliving these old career patterns, and this is, not the best place for the South Node to be, because it's like you're not going with new things. You're being pulled back to the old same story, which can be very annoying. And then the South Node on the IC, this is emotionally heavy here, because you feel very exhausted. You feel stuck in these family roles. You're living these childhood traumas, right? You're living traumas through children. Children look like traumas. Like it's crazy, South Node on the IC, because you're meant to be doing these powerful shadow work. And of course, that means that the North Node is opposite. So you're trying to head towards your career, but trauma is really stopping you, and it's just definitely difficult, when the North Node is on your IC. But you really have to work on letting go of, like, really working on the shadow work, right? I thought that this could be pretty useful when it comes to making life decisions, right? Or when it comes to healing, when it comes to attracting love. So look at this for as long as you need to. Pause, write it down. But these are very useful in my opinion. I hope this was helpful. If you're new here, my name is Fairy Goddess Coeli. Hi, so happy and so nice to meet you, and I'm very, very happy that you're here. If you found this video useful, please try to send it to someone else. Maybe it can help them as well. I hope that you have found, or that you have learned to find a little piece of your cosmic soul, or a little map to your soul, and that you can use it in the future, in the present, whenever it all exists at the same time. But whenever you need to use it, definitely come back to this video and try to share it. That will definitely help me and help my channel grow, and I'll be so thankful and grateful to you. So I'm giving all thanks to you and praises. See you guys. Bye.